Well, it's an honor for me to be here with you tonight. And I have to say, first of all, I've been wearing a tie all day. And it's Friday night and it's Westminster. How would you feel about me taking off my tie? Could I get a little music, please? So it's my pleasure tonight to talk to you about creating a durable competitive advantage at Westminster College. And first of all, I think this is a wonderful place. There's something I want to achieve tonight, but something I also don't want to do. And I thought I'd start with that. There is a strategic planning process underway, and I am not here to talk about that process. In fact, my ideas are more about the values and beliefs that really make this the great institution that it is. I have a lot of respect for the administration and prior administrations. They do a wonderful job, and we should thank them. Would you join me in that? And I'm confident that when the strategic plan comes out, that will be the right direction. I know there's a lot of work going on and a robust process to make sure that's right. So, I want to talk about tonight 5 factors, 5 things that I really feel like make the difference here at Westminster College and that can propel the college forward not only to have a competitive advantage, but to be a leader in higher education. First, I want to talk about focus. And I learned a lot about this recently. I read a book by Walter Isaacson about Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs left Apple, but then eventually came back. And one of the very first things he did upon his return was to cut the company's focus down to just a few essential priorities. In fact, he focused them on 4 specific areas. He also talked about, in their regular strategic planning process, he would invite leaders to submit ideas, and they would come up with hundreds of ideas. And then they would go through a rigorous process of whittling them down and down until they got to about 10 ideas. And once they had it to 10, Steve Jobs went up to the board, crossed out the bottom 7, and said, "We're only going to work on 3. Great courage. Walter Isaacson speculated that that was one of the things that made the difference in saving Apple. So if you have an iPhone today, you can thank focus for that. Westminster has a wonderful ability to get things done. This is the number of projects that the college has done over the last several years. And you can see, not only is there a lot, but it's increasing and has been increasing for a while. This is a lot of work, and the college is very capable of accomplishing this. There was also a recent report that was prepared during the presidential transition. And one of the comments, after talking to a lot of the constituencies on campus, was that people felt a little bit of weariness. They were okay to work hard, and we have a wonderful administration and faculty and staff here, all who are committed to doing great things, but they wanted to understand better how the projects they were working on related back to the strategic plan. Being on the cusp of a strategic plan, we have an opportunity to focus those priorities down and capitalize on the great work that can be done. The next thing I'd like to talk about is innovation. And Westminster is so good at this. I've been impressed in my history at the college at how well they are at accepting ideas and promoting them. And I have a model that I want to talk to you about that I think represents how innovation works. Now, if you're in the sciences, you've probably seen something like this before. This represents the reaction kinetics of many types of interactions, molecules coming together to form a chemical, for instance. You see on the top, that first path can be very energy intensive. To overcome the energy of the reaction, it requires a lot. But once you get past that activation energy, things kind of run downhill and you get to your final outcome. I think that's a lot like innovation in higher ed in general. One way you can accelerate a reaction like this, though, is to use an enzyme or a catalyst. And you can see that dotted line creates the shorter path to getting something done. Westminster has this capability. Westminster is a catalyst for innovation. I'll give you an example of that. I put this picture up not to confess anything. I don't wear wigs regularly, but I was a participant in the Westminster College Master Track program. And this was a program founded by Dick Fontaine and David Spann. And the gentleman on the far left is David Spann in the chicken hat, and Dick Fontaine is in the Pippi Longstocking wig, 2 people over. This was our Wigs of Westminster Day, where we were learning about playing with abandon. So we skied all day wearing these wigs. It was a really interesting experience, and we talked to a lot of people, a lot of questions that day. But these 2 men had an idea to create this program, and they took it to the administration and said, we want to give it a try. What do you think? And they said, go for it. I was in the 2nd year of this program, and it made a massive difference in my life. Jim mentioned that I recently acquired our family business. I'm confident that without these gentlemen's coaching and help, I wouldn't have continued to be at the company at all. The next point I want to talk about is alignment. And this is something, again, that Westminster has a capability about already. As you can see, Henry Ford said, coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. This campus has so many wonderful things happening, people who care about each other, and although there are occasional turf wars, there's a lot of good happening. I talked to a professor just recently who said to me, yeah, there are turf wars sometimes, but when we understand what we're doing is for the good of the students, we come together. I love that. That's why great things happen here, and that can continue to create a competitive advantage for Westminster. Helen Keller also said, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And I think that's definitely the case. Okay, let's talk about measurement. Westminster is great at this as well and measures 100 things, I swear. There's a lot. In fact, I'll show you that in just a minute. But I want you to think about if you were driving this car, if this was your dashboard, what would you focus on? What data would you try to discern? Eventually, if you drove this car for a while, you might start to figure out the things that mattered most at the right times. The opportunity here for the college is to have a strong dashboard that truly relates back to the strategic goals. Here's a sampling of some of the things that the college currently measures, and it strikes me that it's a lot like that first dashboard that we looked at. As we come out with a strategic plan, if we can narrow that focus onto some of the key indicators and then share that information throughout the campus, I think it can have a big influence. Finally, I want to talk about mentoring. In her Westminster Thinks Big speech, Annalisa Stengel-Holcomb talked about this last year, and she extended a challenge to the campus to incorporate mentoring into every aspect of what we do. I want to second her challenge, and I want to tell you about 3 people that I experienced in my time at Westminster. First of all, Dick Fontaine. I mentioned earlier that he founded the Master Track program, and I wouldn't be in the company that I am today without his influence and coaching. I didn't come here expecting to have this experience. I didn't come here expecting to have great mentoring from people, but it happened. And it happened because Westminster has such a strong ecosystem for this. Ned Weinshanker is also a mentor that I met in the Master Track program and is still a friend to me today. He's helped expand my network. He's helped me establish myself in the science community and continually, even yesterday, holds me accountable for understanding the company's financials and asking at least 15 questions at each lunch. I love that. I love that. And finally, Vicki Whiting. Vicki was my professor for international marketing. And that's pretty common. We all have professors and classes. But as I was walking during commencement, and I think it was the last commencement exercise here on campus, it was raining, and I think that's when they decided to start doing it at the E-Center. As I was walking down the row, she called me out. She called me by name and beckoned me to come over. She congratulated me and told me she really appreciated knowing me and the work that I had done in the program. That is such a personal interaction. I don't think that happens at other places. That's something special about Westminster. In conclusion, I hope that we can all focus on these 5 things: focus, innovation, alignment, measurement, and mentoring. and that you can think about how in your various roles at the college you can incorporate this thinking and elevate these principles. I know as we do so, we can continue to have a distinctive and durable competitive advantage. Thank you.